Iran has ramped up talks with China over acquiring Chengdu J-10C multi-role fighter jets, signaling a pivot away from its previously announced plans to procure Russian Su-35s. This development, reported by the Moscow Times citing Khorasan, reflects Tehran's urgency to rejuvenate its aging air force amid mounting regional pressures. The J-10C, a modern Chinese fighter, is now being considered as a cost-effective and politically viable alternative to the more expensive and increasingly elusive Russian Su-35s. Iran has shown interest in the J-10 platform for nearly 20 years. Back in 2015, there were serious discussions about a potential delivery of 150 units, but the agreement stalled due to payment issues. Beijing demanded hard currency, while Tehran, under financial strain, proposed oil and gas in exchange. International sanctions, particularly the UN arms embargo on Iran, further complicated the deal. The embargo expired in 2020, briefly reviving the negotiation process. However, the scale of the potential acquisition was drastically reduced, from 150 aircraft to 36, and the payment impasse remained unresolved. A breakthrough came on June 24, 2025, when Washington approved Chinese imports of Iranian oil without triggering secondary sanctions. This shift in U.S. policy significantly altered the playing field, allowing the two sides to resume talks in earnest. At present, Iran's air fleet is a relic of a bygone era. Although it technically possesses around 150 fighters, most are American-made aircraft delivered before the 1979 revolution. These include 64 F-4 Phantom IIs, 35 F-5E divided by F Tiger IIs, and 41 F-14A Tomcats, many of which are barely operational. In addition, there are about 18 MiG-29A/UBs, which arrived from Russia in the late 1980s and early 1990s, but they too are well past their prime. While Iranian technicians have kept some of these legacy aircraft flying through limited modernization, especially a small number of F-14s, the overall air fleet is woefully outdated. Reports as recent as 2024 indicate that only a handful of these jets remain combat-ready, and several accidents have been reported in recent years. In the absence of a modern fighter fleet, Iran has heavily invested in domestically produced air defense systems. However, this strategy showed its limitations during the 12-day war with Israel, during which the Israeli Air Force decisively overwhelmed Iranian air defenses and established air superiority with little resistance. This vulnerability has pushed Iran to fast-track the modernization of its air force. However, simply acquiring 36 modern fighters, even those armed with long-range PL-15 missiles like the J-10C, will not be enough to fundamentally transform the balance of air power in the region or resolve Tehran's broader defense shortcomings. Iran had previously turned to Moscow for help. In 2022, Iranian officials publicly confirmed the purchase of Su-35 jets from Russia, with deliveries expected to begin in spring 2023. Yet, the deal quietly fell apart. By March 2025, it emerged that the Su-35s originally allocated for Iran were instead delivered to Algeria, an apparent diplomatic slight that left Tehran empty-handed. Now, with Russian deliveries evaporating and domestic aircraft production unable to meet frontline needs, Iran appears to be leaning more heavily toward Beijing. The success of these negotiations could mark a turning point in Iran's long-stalled air force modernization, though much will still depend on financing, logistics, and geopolitics.